Hello, everybody. It's Debbie here from the Ageless Women Movement. And today with me is my guest, Madeleine Lowry. Did I pronounce that right, Madeleine?
That's
Yes.
right.
She is of Twin Cities Nutritional Therapy. And Madeleine is a certified nutritional therapy and fellow MAP practitioner. She specializes in allergies and sensitivities, digestive issues, and autoimmunity. Such an exciting field of study. She's about to launch a new program. And Madeleine, I'd love for you to tell us about that and share some things about yourself.
Thank you, Debbie. Excited to be here today and to talk to your Ageless Movement audience. Such a great name for that
Thank you.
group that you started. Um, so I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, as you mentioned, but my life really began somewhere completely different. I went to a science high school. I thought I was going to do something with biology. I ended up going to business school instead, had a career in business, 20, 25 years. And then my health concerns became such that I decided I needed to really focus on it. And the more I focused on it, the more I was drawn to issues around diet, nutrition, and how that affected health. And so that is what led to me training as a nutritional therapy practitioner. I thought I was just doing it to solve my own health problems. But eventually I realized that I wanted to work in that area. So left the business career and started to do that work and started to work with a lot of people with allergies and sensitivities. There are a lot of us out there,
Surprise, right? Being
right?
that that's where you had struggled yourself. And we often find that that's the tribe that finds us.
Yes. Yes. And it had always been an issue for me. I would say, younger, I had a few allergies, but then I started to develop more sensitivities like in my 30s and 40s. The pace started to accelerate. But anyway, I always thought of it as a kind of a side issue, right? I didn't think that was my main issue. I thought it was kind of a side issue because I thought, well, okay, so I realize now I've taken gluten out and I feel better. And so I realize I'm sensitive to gluten, and if that's what I have to do to maintain my health, like absolutely, I'm going to go gluten free, right? No question. I consider myself a fairly disciplined person. But then as the years passed, it was like the next thing would kind of, oh, maybe it's dairy also. Maybe it's all grains. Maybe it's this and this and this and this. And so you
And
start
then
taking,
it's what the heck should I eat?
there's not much left. So, but along every time this happened, I would say, well, if that's what I need to do, then that's what I need to do. Right. So pretty soon I'm down to a diet of mainly vegetables, not even all vegetables, and some meat. That's basically it. But I still didn't think that was my main problem, right? My main problem was still all these other things, right? I had dropped a lot of weight and I couldn't figure out how to gain it back. And I had all these chronic health issues that were not going away. They were not being resolved, even with everything I knew about nutritional therapy and so forth. So, like I said, on the side, in my business, I'm working with a lot of people with allergies and sensitivities. And so my approach of like, avoid it, which is what we're taught as nutritional therapy practitioners, like take it out and then wait a few weeks to months and then see if you can reintroduce it again and see it, how that goes. So my clients were not loving this approach and they wanted to know, how can I get rid of this? And I thought, get rid of it? Like that was not something I was schooled in. But I started to realize in the research, and I thought, well, there are these allergy elimination techniques. And I started to learn some of them, and then I learned more, and then I learned more. And I, started out with sort of the acupressure ones, and then like Nate. And then I moved on to the sort of brain retraining ones, like the dynamic neural retraining system, which I consider now to be a basic method of neural retraining. And that turned out to be quite life-changing for me. And so once I realized that working with the brain could address allergies and sensitivities, and not just
Wow.
one at a time, which is how the acupuncture and acupressure ones work, but we could actually address classes, foods as a class, and even across class. As we work with the brain, we would find resolution in these sensitivity symptoms across categories. So foods, chemicals, environmental irritants, and even other things. There are people who are sensitive to heat, light, motion, exertion, weather patterns, right? You can become sensitive
Hmm.
to anything. Their own hormone levels you can become sensitized to. So really anything the brain can sense, you can become sensitized to. And so once I caught on to that, and that, wow, it was my brain that was creating those symptoms. It wasn't the food itself. It was my brain's response to the food, or my brain's response to the pollen, my brain's response to whatever it is in the environment that really was the issue. Then that kind of turned me
Wow,
into
light
power
bulb
working.
moment. Give me
Yeah,
one moment because I have a window opening and it's making my door make a noise. So I'm afraid that that's going to be an interference. So let me quickly close my window to reduce that sound.
sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's
That's
spring.
exciting, Madeline. That's so exciting. There is so much to know there with the brain and how it works and how it perceives irritants. Tell us more.
Yeah, yeah. So this my journey continued and I started realizing, oh, it's the brain. It's the brain. My gosh, it's always been the brain. Why did it take me so long to catch on to this, right? I was a biology major, right? I knew that the brain coordinates all the systems of the body, but we never think about the brain's role when things start going awry, right? We always like go, oh, I have a pain here. And so it's got to be something about what's going on here. We don't think like, okay, what's going on in the brain that's making this chronic pain syndrome like a thing, right? So anyway, so I was working with my clients, and I was teaching them what I had learned about retraining the brain, all the principles around how we can manage and use our conscious mind to break down this pattern. It's a brain pattern, right? So it's a pattern of response to whatever it is in the environment you're sensitive to. But I always found that there were, I would teach workshops. And so I would always find that, like 75% of people just did swimmingly, right? Like I could teach them the exercises, they would go home, they would practice. So it was kind of a do it yourself method. And they would make progress and, did really well, resolved, achieve their goals. And then there was always like 25 to 30% that would just get stuck. And I kind of wondered about them, like, what is going on? I kept thinking to myself, I wish that I didn't have to send people home to do these mental exercises for 3 to 6 months, for an hour a day for 3 to 6 months. That is what it took to make that basic method work.
So now that was before MAP then. That
Yes,
was before MAP. Okay, good.
yes, yes. So I was already working with rewiring the brain, but with this basic method. It's kind of like having a abacus. Right now we have like the supercomputer, right? But anyway, so I was like, I don't understand why some people just can't fully, well, some of them just didn't have the time. They would have the time, but then like something would happen in their lives, they would fall out of the practice and so on didn't progress. But for many of them, I started to realize that adverse childhood experiences, their score on the adverse childhood experiences assessment, if you're not familiar with that, it's 10 questions. It's an assessment you can find online, produced by the Centers of Disease. The CDC uses it to determine levels of adverse childhood experiences. So your score could be anything from a 0 to a 10, 10 being very severe level. But anything over 4 is considered moderate to severe, right? So 4 or over is considered something concerning. So I realized, oh, it's the level of adverse childhood experiences that seems to correlate with people who just can't use the do-it-yourself method well on their own. And
Wow,
so,
that's very interesting. I learned about adverse childhood experiences when I became a health coach, and it is really significant. Yes, and we don't realize how much so it is.
yes, yes. And now I would say it's not all about adverse childhood experiences. I take that as an indicator, right? There are adverse experiences that are not accounted for on that assessment, right? It's only 10 questions. And then there's lifetime trauma. And I really think it's more of a lifetime trauma kind of thing. And I use the word trauma, but This does not mean that, it has to rise to the level of, surviving a world war or something like that. I mean, just painful emotional experiences. When we talk about trauma, we just mean painful emotional experiences. For a very sensitive person, the level of painful emotional experiences may not have to be that high for it to make a significant impact on their psyche, their subconscious mind. So anyway, so at the same time that I was noticing that it was like trauma, lifetime trauma, like experiences of trauma in your life that could set you up for not being able to use this method alone, I was also realizing, I was wishing for a method, like I said, where I wouldn't have to send people home to practice by themselves for 3 to 6 months. I could just do it for them in a set of sessions. What does that sound like, Debbie? I
I
just kept,
know what it sounds
right?
like, and it's very exciting.
And I kept, right. So this is like, I just kept thinking, gosh, I wish I didn't have to send them home. I don't understand why they can't get over, why they can't accomplish, what they set out to accomplish. And I really want everyone to be able to do this. And, just why, maybe there's some way I could do this for them. How could I rewire their brain in sessions,
Efficiently,
efficient
quickly.
in office? I was thinking
Yes.
office visits because at that time I was working in an office. I was working in a clinic, and so that they wouldn't have to, do all this practicing, for months on end. And so then the MAP method showed up on my radar, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so I thought, wait, I saw a demo online and I thought, wait, what is going on there? I thought that person is rewiring that person's brain in the session. Like, this is what I've been looking for. I was like, I have to learn this. I knew immediately,
Yeah,
this
me
is
too.
exactly what I need to know. And it's so unlike me to have like,
An instant yes.
yeah, like just an instant, absolute certain knowing. Like, I'm always a person that's kind of perseverating. I'm on the fence. I don't know how I feel. Maybe I'll know a few hours later how I feel or whatever. I mean, but in this case, it was just like, boom, I have to know what this is. I have to
Yeah.
learn this. And so I did. And that is how I came to be a MAP method practitioner. And so anyway, so I'm so excited. I was so excited to learn that method because I thought, oh, now I'm going to be able to help people rewire in a session or in a set of sessions. And they won't have to practice. They won't have to do all that. And, but then, of course, as you start to experience the method and you work with it with other people, you start to see how widely applicable it is, right? Not only is it good for people who have these patterns of symptoms around sensitivities, it is helpful for chronic pain. It is helpful for chronic fatigue. It is helpful for chronic health issues, right? These are all patterns, right? We have emotional patterns, we have mental patterns, we have physical patterns called
Mm.
symptoms.
Yes, a big aha moment for my own journey was discovering that there was a connection between my emotional network and what I was experiencing emotionally or not experiencing emotionally, and my physical health. So that was a big, big, big aha moment for me in my early 50s. Yeah, definite connection.
Absolutely. And you talk about what you don't experience. Yeah. So for many of us that have those early painful childhood experiences, we learn to suppress our emotions, right? We learn to repress them. And when you do that, it's like these unprocessed, unexperienced emotions kind of get stuck and they can contribute to a physical manifestation later in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And keep you stuck in so many different areas, not only patterns of pain, but also with believing things that aren't true about yourself or about the world around you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Right. We deal with this every day, don't we, Debbie? People who just feel like they aren't good enough. Like they just, there's some live under this little cloud of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. People don't like me.
Or why should I try? It's not going to happen anyway.
Yes. This never works for me. I can never get better. Right. Right. I mean,
This is set in stone. This is the way it is. I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so again, with the MAP method, right, we can, once we can identify like, oh, I have this belief, and we see it, right? We see how it's been affecting us. We can use MAP sessions to disempower that belief and replace it with something better. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. And healing does take place.
Emotional healing, mental, like at the emotional level, the mental level, and then the physical level. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to tell us more about the program that you are creating?
Yes. So it combines everything that I learned with the basic neural retraining methods. Like I said, the do it yourself methods, which use the conscious mind to try to influence the subconscious mind, which is why it takes so long. And then it also is using a structured set of MAP sessions, recorded MAP sessions. So the program comes with a couple of sessions with me live. So we do an introductory session, then you're good to start using the program. The program is structured by week. There's 4 weeks of activities laid out. And this is for people with allergies and sensitivities specifically. Any kind of sensitivities, food, chemical, mold, EMFs, whatever it is. And so by working with this structured set of recorded MAP sessions, we can kind of um, allow the person to engage in this online self-paced program, structured program.
Oh, so they're not live sessions with you. It's a pre-recorded session where you are guiding the session and it's not like a group thing. They can just purchase
Not
it. Okay, so they can just purchase it and do it independently.
It has 2 live sessions with me. The program is for both because I know that for people that have multiple sensitivities, there's some trauma, there's some other right underlying issues that we need to deal with in live MAP sessions, right? But the recorded sessions, like the structured set of sessions I'm talking about that you do on your own, in your own home, at your convenience, at your own pace, deal specifically around the sensitivity symptoms. Yeah. So we work with the trauma in live sessions because that's like the trickier part, right? You really want a live practitioner who can problem solve. Then we use the recorded sessions for the sensitivity
So
patterns.
how often would they meet with you one-on-one for live?
Yeah. So we get a 60-minute session and a 90-minute session with the package. So the 60-minute session is intended to be the introductory session, right?
Right.
So when they sign up for the package, they schedule that first session, the 1 hour session. Then they get a coupon so that they can schedule the 90-minute session when they want to. So we do the first session. I initiate them to the MAP method because the MAP method is something you have to be initiated to, and then they can start working with the week 1 activities in the program. So week 1, you do 3 recorded MAP sessions. They're about like 45 minutes each. So it takes, maybe like 3 hours a week or something like that. And you could do more, but it's recommended that you do this three recorded MAP sessions a week. And then, you can move into week 2 and so forth. And then if you find that there is some trauma memory that is coming up for you, or there's some memory that has some emotional intensity around it that is not going down with the recorded sessions, that's a sign that maybe it's time to schedule that 90-minute session.
I like that. That's
And
really good.
yeah. And then, people are, as you know, Debbie, we're all extremely unique individuals. And so for some people will need more sessions. It depends on, what's going on for you. If you have uh, more of the lifetime, painful experiences, you may need more sessions than someone who doesn't really have that history. So, we provide the first 2 live ones, like gives a person a sense of what can be accomplished with live sessions. You can continue with the recorded, the structured set. You can always go back and repeat any of the sessions that you found particularly
That's
useful to
nice.
you. So I have sessions around emotions, sessions around beliefs, sessions around symptoms. And so, so you kind of use these two things as you would like to. And afterwards, if you feel like you need, at any point, if you feel like you need another live session, you sign up for that. You can keep doing this and then engage in live sessions as you need, as many or as few as you personally feel that you need. So, yeah,
That's great. I love it.
yeah, yeah. It has taken me months to put this together to kind of figure out how to, because it includes all of the basic principles of neural retraining. So we are working with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind together. So this is what I discovered is like, I thought, oh, I have the new method, the MAP method, and so that's going to completely replace everything from the basic method, right? Because the new method, the advanced method, is so much more advanced. Well, what I was finding was that for many people, it wasn't enough to just work with their subconscious mind. The
Yeah.
conscious mind also had to be on board, right? And so with this program, I go over all of the basic principles or tenets of working with the conscious mind to not allow this sensitivity cycle to keep getting fired off, right? To become more self aware and realize, oh, that's my sensitivity cycle starting again. That thought, that feeling, that trigger I'm getting triggered, and to nip it in the bud, right? So anyway, so there's training for the conscious mind as well as these recorded sessions for the subconscious mind, and working with both of these together makes it so much more productive and so much more efficient and effective.
Wow, it sounds like a lot more than a couple months worth of work to put that all together.
Yes, yes, of course, it builds on years of working with people with allergies and sensitivities and kind of understanding the issues that underlie that. But it was a few months of work to just build the program and figure
Figure
out
out how to do it, to put it.
the flow, how much do they need to know, and from the basic, in what order should it be? Yeah, everything. Yeah, as you know, it takes it takes
Work.
work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a great, great body of work that you're doing and so important. I know so many people that have allergy related problems. Some of them are my own kids.
Mm.
So, yes, that's great work that you're doing. And I think it's so unique that you can weave MAP into some of those fundamental issues that are causing those type of problems. So that's exciting.
Yes.
That's exciting that there's more than an allergy shot. It's easier than an allergy shot, maybe. That I mean, to me it is.
Yeah. Well, for the person that has one allergy or sensitivity, like maybe something like this would be overkill. But for the person, this is for the person who has multiple allergies and sensitivities, and for the person who's realizing that as the years go by, the pace at which they're developing more allergies and sensitivities is increasing, right? So that's the person who really benefits from not only the basic method, dynamic neural retraining system, and all the other basic methods of working with the brain to you know take hold with this process and turn it around, um, but all.
You know what struck me as you were talking? What
Mhm.
struck me is how I wonder if subconsciously your body is self-protecting against the environment around them.
Mm. I think it is something like that. I think I think for the person who has had some traumatic experiences in their life, there can be, as you know, the subconscious mind can kind of get stuck in this idea that the world is a very dangerous place, right?
And
And
that,
so
yeah.
then the danger sensing part of the brain, the limbic system, which which has a couple of jobs. One big job that it has is processing all the sensory inputs that are coming in, everything we can sense externally and everything we sense internally, like I was talking about respiratory rate, heart rate, what kind of thoughts are we having, how are we feeling, right? So the limbic system is processing all of this, And it's determining at any point in time, are we safe or are we not safe? And
Yeah.
when we're not safe, right, it fires this kind of danger, this alarm signal, which calls for the stress hormones, and it starts this sensitivity cycle,
Mm.
producing symptoms, making us feel anxious or depressed, panicky, whatever. And so it kind of sets off this set of symptoms and experiences that it could be pain, it could be discomfort, it could be itchiness, it could be rashes, it could be, right, any number of things, right? Sensitivity symptoms are so variable. But because we have those experiences, then we start to think, oh, this thing is honestly bad for me. This is dangerous for me. So it changes our thoughts, it changes our beliefs, it changes our behaviors. Now we're going out of our way all the time to make sure we're safe. No, avoiding cross contamination, avoiding situations where we might be exposed, you know, restricting ourselves in various ways to stay safe,
To
right?
protect yourself. Hmm.
And this is the sensitivity cycle, because it started out with feelings of the world is not safe. Then we kind of, then the brain is like, and I think this, I sense this pollen, whatever. And I'm going to tell you, I think that we have, there's something here that's not safe. And so then we start to react. We sneeze or whatever happens to us. And then we think, oh, I can't do that anymore. I shouldn't, whatever. I should avoid that. And that just feeds back to the brain like, yeah, you were right. You noticed this thing, pollen, and you told me about it. And now I'm thinking about it all the time. So yes, you were right. You were right. So so we are kind of, it's like this feedback loop gets created that
Makes
it
total sense.
partly subconscious and partly reinforced with our conscious mind. And it just keeps going. And problem is that for some people, it starts to spin faster and faster the longer it goes. And so we start becoming sensitive to this thing and then this thing and then this thing. Suddenly we're sensitive to a lot of things. We don't know how to get out of this pickle. I have people coming to me that, can only eat 8 foods. That's
Mm.
not living, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People who can't go for walks because of
Mm.
environmental things, or because they're afraid their neighbor might be using a bounce sheet in their dryer, and if they smell that, I mean, that's a migraine headache for 3 days, right? So
Wow. I
life
could.
gets really, really small. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
For that
Yeah.
person, this is the program that can address this. And especially the people who have tried the basic methods like dynamic neural retraining system, DNRS, and it wasn't enough for them. Like, this is the next step, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. How can people reach you, Madeleine? How can they find this program and what you're offering? Should they go to your website to find this?
Yes. Yeah. So mindremapforhealth.com, that's my website, Mind Remap for Health. And I have a program up right now called Retrain Your Brain. So that is on my website, and that was really around the basic method. So I had been offering the basic method, and then I offered the advanced method for people who were kind of failing the basic method. But what I'm doing now is combining the two. And so there'll be a new program, it's not up yet, called Map for Sensitivities. And that will, as we said, combine the best of both worlds.
Well, that sounds awesome. Do you have an idea of when that new program will launch?
Well, by the end of the month, maybe around April 1.
Okay. We can tell people to just be checking you out and to stay tuned for when you actually launch. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing and elaborating on what you do.
Yes. Well, thank you, Debbie. It's a pleasure to talk with you again, and to talk with another MAP method practitioner that can grasp, what it is, the significance of what, I'm doing. So
It's
that's,
exciting. It's really exciting. And I love watching other practitioners grow their practices. And so it's wonderful. I'm happy to support what you're doing. Yes. So do you have any parting words of wisdom that you have for our listeners today?
well, the only parting word of wisdom I have is don't forget about the power of the brain, right? The brain,
Absolutely.
brain is
Something we
wonderful.
totally underestimate.
Yes. The brain is very powerful, very powerful.
It is.
Yes.
All
It
right.
it creates our experience. And if you want to change your experience, you want to work with your brain.
Yes. Amen on that. Great parting words. Okay. So there you have it, folks. I hope you'll check Madeleine out. She's got some great things to share with you. Absolutely. If you are a sensitivity person, allergy person, look her up. Thank you so much, Madeleine, for coming on today. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it, Debbie. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye for now.